relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. Hello, and thank you for watching.
Oh, this is a double header. If you listen to last week's episode.
Back to back, baby.
We've recorded this one back to back in a lazy Saturday afternoon. Not really that lazy. Lazy in the sense that I've managed to drop my dog and my child at someone else's house for 2 hours so I can do this.
So you can
it feels like a holiday. I'm just so relaxed. It's like, oh boy, like I don't have someone who needs something from me. This is great. Will, please don't hit me with any problems.
How long?
I can't tie your shoe. No, I'm sorry. They can't bring out the toaster blue. No, I can't fix that for you.
They can't bring out the toaster blue?
Kids come up with these like... They get upset over things of which there is no problem. They create a problem and then complain about something. They create a problem that has no solution and then complain that you can't fix that problem. So it's like, why didn't the waiter bring me like a pink truck with my food? And it's like, because they don't have pink trucks here.
This isn't
I
not
wanted a pink truck
place.
with my food.
Oh.
Like, what? I mean, why? Where did you get the idea for a pink truck? And then you'll go down some rabbit hole. But it's like...
But do you think that in their head they like have thought that there was going to be a pink truck? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that at some stage their brain has gone, this will be great today. When we go to breakfast, they'll also bring you a pink truck.
Well, I'll give you an interesting dilemma. This happened.
Okay.
This happened today. Before we started recording, we took the dog out for a walk because Rosebud, she's fully vaxxed, man, which is very
nice.
unnormal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she won't be invited to many doggy dates anymore.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, in the last couple of weeks, I've been taking her out. You know, I'll hold her in my arms, or if I got her on the ground, I send the dog, I'll pick her up, and I'll just, as by way of explanation, say, oh, she's not fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
And like even when you're talking about your dog, people give you a side eye up here when you're talking.
No, you don't need
vaccines.
dogs. Don't need vaccines, mate.
Yeah, give
what
us
are you talking about? Oh, thought you wanted a dog, not a sheep, mate.
So we took her for a lovely little river walk. We walked, followed the creek into town, and then so she's got these two mates, right? One of them she goes to daycare with. The other mate used to go to daycare but doesn't. But those two kids are mates, so she hangs out with these two girls a lot, and they've both got younger siblings. Anyway. We cross into the park and there's a kids party happening and we see her two mates and I'm like, oh, and then my initial thing is like panic. It's like, did I get an invite like that I forgot about? Like did someone from daycare? And so one of the mums comes up to say good day. And I said, whose party is this? And she's like, oh no, it's the younger siblings party. So the older sisters have just come because they're the older sisters, but it's really for the 2-year-olds, all the 2-year-olds from daycare. So I'm like, oh, phew, dodge that bullet. So Iona runs off to play with her mates and the other kids and I'm chatting away with the other parents. First funny thing that happens is I'm talking to a guy and he's sort of like staring at me funny and I'm like, oh, he's going to ask if my dog's vaccinated. No.
Because, mate, I'm in an open relationship, but we do not have sex with vaccinated dogs.
Yeah, it turns out he's a love love coach.
Yeah.
Those guys you get into. I mean, they say love coach. There's quite a few up here, but I think they just want to fuck your wife.
Intimacy expert. Yeah.
Intimacy expert. That's it. Love coach. I like love coach better. It's punchier. So he was staring at me, and then he's gone, "Oh, I recognise your voice." And I was like, "What?" From his guy, I listened to your footy podcast, and I was like, "Oh, that's so." Weird. I don't think I've ever met anyone in the wild who's listened to my footy podcast. But the kids were playing, and I were on a walk to go get some lunch because then I'd organised this play date to drop her at so we could record today. So we couldn't stay at the party. So I let her play for like half an hour, and then I was like, "Come on, we've got to go grab some lunch. Then I'm going to drop you around at your friend's house." And so we left the party and then we got like halfway into town and then she was getting all grizzly. And I was like, well, do you not want to go to a cafe and get lunch? She's like, no. I said, okay, that's fine. That's actually better. I'll take you home. I'll make you some lunch. And then when you're done, I'll drop you in the car. We can. But then she started complaining about like, I didn't get a party bag. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, the party. I didn't get a party bag. And I was like, oh, right. Okay. I said, yeah, but here's the thing. I said, that party, I know you saw your two friends there, but that wasn't actually their friend's party. It was one of their little brother's party, and they were just there. So I think I didn't even see any party bags, but if there were party bags, I'm pretty sure it was just going to be for the younger kids. And she was like, nope, No, there was definitely party bags because one of her friends told her there was going to be party bags.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I mean, sounds like a conversation she'll also be having in 30 years where it's like, so this party on the weekend, there's bags, right?
Yeah.
People are like, it's going to be some party bags?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get any party bag and I'm grumpy because I got no party bag.
there'll be plenty of time for you to get some party bags, trust me. But then I was had this dilemma of like, because the first thing she said was like, why wasn't I invited?
Yeah.
Which I thought was a fair enough question.
Yeah. Because it was your initial instinct as well.
Yeah.
Was, hang on, something's gone
kids here
wrong
we
here.
know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so I explained it away and said, oh, no, you weren't invited because it wasn't for the older kids, it was for the younger kids. It was only for the 2-year-olds, the babies. And so she kind of got that. But then because her one friend had said, because I actually, now that I think about it, I saw her chatting quite intently to the mum of the little boy whose party it was, who's a friend, obviously. But Iona, I was like, Iona's really in deep discussion with this woman. They're walking up the path together back towards me, and I didn't actually stop to ask what Iona was so intent on gleaning from this woman.
Yeah.
But I think what Iona was probably doing was like,
party.
don't hold out on me, bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
I know you've got bags.
Yeah, I know you got
Give
bags.
us the bags. Come on. Don't pretend there's no bags. I know there's bags here. I
Some
got told
kids-
there were bags.
Some kids go to the playground to play chasey. My kid goes there because she's chasing.
Yeah, it's just like, where are these bags? I don't give a shit about your party. Where is the bag?
Oh, that makes sense, right?
Oh.
So her little mate has said to her, yeah, there's going to be party bags. So she was probably going up to the mum.
Go on.
And that also
When are the bags
explains-
coming out?
Because I did have a conversation with the mum. Because there was a little bit of awkwardness where the mum was like, Iona, like, help yourself to like the snacks. Because it was like, you know, corn chips and chopped fruit and little chocolates and stuff up on the picnic table. So I think what's happened is mum's probably only prepared enough party bags.
You're
for
not preparing extra party bags for just...
Oh, no, you do, generally.
Yeah, but like
You
that's...
always get a couple extra, Will, because you're gonna kick on. So you always have a couple extra party
For afters.
For
Yeah.
afters, yeah.
No, but
leave that
they're-
at home though, right? Because
But they're not for strangers who walk in off the street. Like, you can't just be a rando who's suddenly coming in and going, mate, you can have anything from the fridge. Hey, there's beers in the bathtub. Go in, help yourself. But, like, you can't suddenly... We only got a certain amount of bags here. You can't have this stranger just roll in and take a bag.
I think that's... You when you plan a kid's party, and I'll be interested to know, actually, if anyone listening to this wants to write in and tell me what your take is. We always... like oversupply on the idea that
but
someone's
how
gonna come
many?
with their sibling.
Yeah, but
Well,
this
let's
is
say we
someone
had-
comes with their
we
sibling,
had-
not like a stranger just rolls up who
We're not a
wasn't even...
stranger. They're good friends. They hang out all the time.
Yeah,
We're neighbours.
but I don't think that's contingency. Is just like randos will like roll into the party and need
But
a
the
bag.
party was well underway.
Yeah.
If there was any like other people arriving, they would have arrived by now. So she clearly didn't have any.
No, but
bags
she,
on her, man.
but she might have allocated the spare bags to the randos who've already arrived.
And I said to her, like, have you got a number? Is there
Yeah,
someone we can
just
call?
like, you know what? Maybe just bag some snacks up and put them like, because what's in a party bag normally?
Well, it depends where you go.
Yeah.
Like, people try and be sort of like a bit more ethical now in terms of like, if you're not
yeah.
getting cheap plastic stuff. It's like a mostly recyclable, like a wooden pencil and a unicorn pad and maybe a couple of sweets or something, like a little bit of a toy and a little few treats, but not they're not elaborate. It's not like you get at the Oscars or anything.
So could you have whipped
Believe
up,
it or not, Will.
Could you have whipped
The
up
party bags from a toddler's party is not the same as the gift bags at the
There's a
Oscars.
$22,000 diamond Tiffany necklace and a unicorn pen?
So yeah, I reckon though, Mum, because she was encouraging Iona to hit the snacks table.
Yeah.
And so I reckon there was not. I'm still doubtful
no
that there
bags.
was party bags.
You don't think there were bags at all?
Because there's a 2-year-old's birthday party, and 2-year-olds, I don't remember. Well, it was during COVID, so. But I think you don't give a party bag to a kid because they're not old enough to be left alone with
With a bag.
with a bag. With
You
treats
can't.
And,
You know, it's like dangerous.
that's right.
Yeah.
So you see two toddlers going into the children's toilet together.
Is
Hey
there
guys, hey, one at a time.
Is there any chance that you could just bag up some snacks from the table and say that's...
Well,
the
okay,
party
that was my diversionary tactic. So when I ended, she was grizzling about not getting a bag. So we had to sort of talk through first the kind of what would you say? It's not really like an ethical dilemma, but it's the idea of being excluded from something. Like, there's certain things which, and it is not because you've done anything wrong or because there's anything wrong with
It's
you.
just not for you. This wasn't an occasion that was designed for you. But the good news is, even though it wasn't, she got to interact with it and be part of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that wasn't her. That wasn't her biggest complaint. Her biggest complaint was, "Where's my bag? I want a bag. I heard there's bags."
So how quick entitlement takes over.
Yeah.
Where's my bathrobe? I heard you got free slippers.
So she got to play with her friends, which is good.
Yeah.
But so I said to, so once we got through the thing of like, oh, they didn't invite you because there's anything wrong. It's just it was a party for younger kids, and your friends being there was just more of a coincidence than anything. Then we move on to, okay, I want a party bag. And I was like, okay, well, I said, it's the weekend, you've worked hard all week at daycare, so I'm happy to, why don't we I've got some things sitting around the house and I can put together a party bag for you, because we have a little sweets shelf.
A private party bag. Like a little, nice.
Yeah, just for you.
Yeah.
But that's not the point, man. That's not the point. She didn't want a dad's party bag. She wanted a mate's party bag. It's like when mum says, "Oh, you don't need McDonald's. I can make you a Big Mac at home," and she gets three slices of tip-top bread. It's mum. It's fucking square. It doesn't even look like a burger.
But even better than a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets 2 frozen patties from the supermarket.
Now
tip-top bread.
Now go and play in that football jumper I knitted you. That is
that this one sleeve is much longer than the other one. I mean, why would you go to a restaurant for this? Hey? Just as good.
Just as good.
So she wasn't into that. She wasn't into that at all.
No.
And then I don't even actually remember.
But she's going on a play date today as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so,
well, that's actually that's right, and that's how I did frame it.
Yeah.
Because I let her watch a bit.
This is like a bonus party. This one that she's gone to early.
Totally. And there's no doubt getting some treats at her friend's house. Like they'll be taking care of her. And also it's like I don't want to say that, my child's life is an embarrassment of riches, but like I think she has a pretty good life.
No, she has a good life. She's already going to another play date that day.
Yeah.
Like
and
you've let her play at the party. Like occasionally you've just got to go, all right. Calm down, princess. Calm down, Paris Hilton.
They talk about kids like forming core memories, like specific events, like, the fundamental memories. And I'm so adamant that I'm going to be responsible for at least one good core memory. Like I fast forward into the future when, she's kind of like winning her whatever, and she gives her acceptance speech and she's like, I'll never forget that time my dad took me to the park and they had no bags. And he took me aside and he said, there'll be plenty of bags in the future. Don't worry about that. You just got to know more people from private school. And there's always bags. And so I accept this award, having just finished rehab. My 90-day chip. Thanks to my dad.
Yeah. Oh, man. But so how many hours off do you have? Like, do you just have this podcasting time, or is there or is there any bonus? Is there any is there any Charlie time in the margins?
My dream scenario for this for today was spend the day with Iona, take the dog out, then. What I wanted to do was I originally booked a babysitter who was going to come in now, hang out with Iona. Then I'd finish this, we'd have dinner together, and then I was going to take off and go see Furiosa because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to see Furiosa. How great, got a babysitter. But she was not available. So, and you know what? I thought about it.
She's going to see Furiosa.
Yeah, I think she actually is. She said she forgot she had another engagement with a friend of hers, and her friend probably reminded her that Furiosa, I can't even say it, Furiosa came out this week. But that's okay. No, that's okay. I might wait till Jem is back, and then she'll owe me a night out or two. So Jem got to see Furiosa at Cannes, at the Cannes premiere.
Yeah. What did she think? Has she
She
told
really
you?
liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She really liked it.
Justin liked it. Justin said it was, I think, I think he said maybe his third or fourth favorite of the five. Like we,
Right, so
we
you
did
go
it, but yeah.
Fury
Okay. Well, you tell me what your so of the five. Just assuming, okay, do the four, obviously, because you don't know where Furiosa is going to be. But of the four, what would be your four so far?
I think, honestly, like for a long time, it would have been, like even after Fury Road, I think I would have had Road Warrior 1, and then Fury Road 2, Mad Max, then Thunderdome last.
Yeah. And
But
now what do you think it is?
Fury Road, I think in terms of the film that I'm getting the most out of, like, because I just read Blood, Sweat and Chrome, the oral history, and I just love that, and I think I've probably consumed more side media relating to Fury Road than I have the Road Warrior. I think my interest in that film and everything about it is probably more. So I think, and it's also, Road Warrior is like 40 years old, so I think it's just a shiny new thing. But I anticipate that, from what Gemma told me, she really liked it. Said it was like just fun craziness. But she said it's very different in tone to Fury Road. Fury Road's just very kinetic. It's a chase movie. This apparently is a bit more of a story that spans decades. It's got a bit more of an epic feel to it, which is fine. But I just think that adrenaline shot of Fury Road, and I know George Miller's fine and he's doing fine and everything's fine, but I'm so hurt on his behalf that he didn't win a Best Director Oscar. Was it Spotlight? Fucking won it the year. And I just see Fury Road and I'm like, this is a masterpiece. There is nothing like this in existence. And there's only one person did it, and he has not been acknowledged by the purported highest peers in his industry.
All noted that Dr. George is doing fine. Everything's fine for Dr. George. Congratulations to him. And he's just led a magnificent artistic life and should be heralded and,
Will, I could listen to George Miller opine about any topic. I've consumed so much of him on this press tour and think he's just so eloquent and thoughtful and interesting and progressive, but also honest. I think everything about him is just so enchanting. I'm in love with Dr. George Miller.
I could not agree with him more. And so I think that, he's probably absolutely fine. He's probably absolutely fine.
I've got a feeling this is the most unnecessary disclaimer, but yes.
Yeah, I think, but I will say that, so Justin and I were talking about, and he still has Road Warrior as his number one, but I was just like, I think that Fury Road is, as the years go on, it's like increasingly becoming not just like, like my favorite of the Mad Max films, but literally one of my favorite films that has ever been made.
I agree.
I just think, because of what you're saying, in a world where nothing feels like it is unique, it still feels unique. Even though, normally something becomes like, even classics of the past, what happens is they lose their shine because the things that they did originally get replicated so many times by others that when you go back and watch the original, you're like, I don't even really see what the big deal was about. Like, going
it's
back...
a short line between Nirvana to Creed.
Right, yeah. But even going back and watching the original Matrix, like, it's still pretty, like, amazing. But because you've seen so much of that, like, bullet time / technology used in other ways, that, you can never go back to seeing it for the first time and having your mind blown by it. But you can watch Fury Road now and still feel like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in the history of cinema, even though you have. You went last time you watched Fury Road, but you haven't seen anything else that has managed to do it.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because like it's based on such traditional archetypes, and George Miller's very upfront about that. Like he's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's the samurai story.
Yes.
It's the Western. It's the man with no name or the woman with no name, as it is with this film. But there is something about it. I think it is the last interview I just watched with him. Then I think it was Vanity Fair or whatever. He was going through a scrapbook of all the Mad Max films, and he was making the point about beauty and artistry and how they just decided that there had to be detail. Like every prop in the film, every bit of wardrobe had to be a found object, and there had to be a justification for why it was still around. So, for example, he was saying there's no electric cars in the wasteland because that kind of technology is very fragile, and you can't update it; it's going to fall apart. Whereas like analog technology or combustion engines will be around for a lot longer. But then to realize that, because your brain doesn't take it in at first when you see like a scene, but then like slowly the images stay with you, and you're like, was that guy wearing a garden fork on his face?
Right.
And then why is it garden fork? Of course, because if you're in the wasteland and you have to muzzle someone, you can't just like get a muzzle. But that happens a trillion times with Fury Road, that you'll see something or something and it's like, what is the history of that?
Yes.
And then according to George Miller, well, they've got like an ancient tome that will chart the exact history of where that prop came from. Not to mention the characters. Like he's got an entire backstory for the Doof Warrior, apparently, where he's come from. And I think that is what makes it endure, is there is so much richness. And I get so frustrated talking to people with Fury Road when it first came out, because so many people were quite dismissive. And if you ever read the comments on Facebook about Fury Road, people are like, it's the worst film I've ever seen and nothing happens, there's no dialogue. I'm like, you fucking morons, like concentrate, focus. You'll see there's heaps of
every
details.
scene has so many storytelling elements. Like that's what you're talking about. He's talking about the idea of like, you can tell the story without saying this is the story that I am telling, or show a part of the story in a way that feels legitimate because you know what the rest of the story is. So it does make sense. It makes sense that those two things go together because you understand why those two things would intersect, and then the way that you've had them intersect like is legitimate because you've thought about what each of them are trying to achieve, or what each of them are trying to overcome, or why the detail is like that. Why the mythology grew around those sort of things. Yeah, as you said, even just that idea of color and color saturation, desaturation, like the idea that there are ancient tribes that are very colorful still, right? Like, they use color and they build beautiful things, even though they have quite primitive technology. So the idea that things in the future would still be made to look beautiful, even though they were made out of those sort of like, more practical, less technological elements. Yeah, there's a depth to that storytelling that feels to me like, even I think Dr. George knew that Fury Road is... I think that's the idea of the prequel, right? Is like Fury Road is the evolution of what this becomes. Whereas like when you get to do a prequel, you don't need to match the intensity or like world building of, because it's like, no, this one's actually back in the series. We're going back in time,
Yeah.
And I think that was smart, because like the idea of having to do like Fury Road 2 even more furious would have like...
Well, I guess the Mad Max franchise is pretty much that every time, though, right? Like every film is kind of like its own self-contained universe, with a different
story, different feel.
Road Warrior and Thunderdome probably feel the most related in terms of one story moving into another. But the first one and the second one are vastly different, and then obviously Fury Road.
But Road Warrior and Thunderdome feel different in tone.
Yeah.
In story, in what the story is and kind of the way the story is being told. They're not exactly the same sort of story in that regard.
One of the interesting things that Dr. George said in this same interview was, so the original film, he knew what he wanted to make, like, it's like a gritty kind of revenge film, something they could shoot cheaply. And he said, and I wasn't aware of this, apparently there was some kind of like gas shortage or petrol shortage in Melbourne and Victoria in the 70s, where it got to like 2 weeks where, lines around the block, people trying to get petrol for their cars. And he said that in Australia, which is we don't have a gun culture, it only took 10 days for the first shot to be fired. And it wasn't fired at anyone, but there was a dispute at a line for gasoline where and he's gone, okay, well, if that happens after 10 days, what happens after 100 days? What happens after 1,000 days? And it's like, oh, you're talking about now, George Miller? Yeah. Because I guess that's the other thing that makes those films so evergreen, is like the depletion of resources or people fighting over resources, whether that's bullets, petrol, fresh water, or whatever. Like, that's a very primal kind of need and concern, right? Like, they're all things that we understand. We have stuff that we need, and we're scared of other people taking those things away.
I mean, the pandemic and toilet paper was... Sorry.
That's so true, though. That should have been a scene in one of the Mad Max films. Like, you got like Bullet Town, you've got like Barter Town, you've got where the water is and the green place, but you've also got Toilet Paper Village.
But anywhere
that's where the last
anywhere that thinks that anyone who thinks that any element of Fury Road or that universe is unrealistic, like, needs to go back and watch the fact that about a week into a disease where one of the side effects was never and has never been that it makes you shit more, that people were fighting each other for toilet paper in supermarkets. Like,
within days, too.
Within days.
Like, it wasn't even 2 years into the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was like
someone coughed and people were bashing each other over a fucking 8-pack of sorbent over a disease that did not give you diarrhea.
Like, whenever the Simpsons like show the mob mentality, when the mob goes crazy, it's always so fucking accurate, because that is exactly, it takes the slightest provocation of alarmism and people freak the fuck out. But it is a good point, though. Like, is there toilet paper in the wasteland? Like, that would be, judging by what we saw during COVID, if in Fury Road universe you've got a town for bullets, a town for gas, a town for water, there's got to be toilet paper village.
Well, because
right?
if there's a shortage of water, so you can't have like some sort of bidet style system,
certainly
right?
not.
So I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess there's no reason there would be a shortage of. Well, I guess after a while there's factories or anything.
There's a shortage of all kind of water, like not just fresh water. So even if you were wiping with your hand, chances of you being able to then wash your hand are really minimal. So toilet paper becomes an extremely valuable commodity.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that you and I, Will,
Yeah.
stumbled across the last paper forest in the wasteland. We used that leverage to recruit mercenaries to build a fortress around us. And we now trade. We produce the only toilet paper in the
toilet
wasteland.
paper town.
Toilet paper town.
Oh, that's like we make. You know what? Let's make an Adam Sandler style, like Mad Max spin-off about
the only town
the guys
produces
from
toilet
Toilet Town. Like,
Toilet town. The potty province.
it's like it's in the Mad Max universe. We pitched it to Dr. George. I know where he lives. I'm just like linger on that pathway near where his house is with this script we have for Toilet Town.
I reckon you just stand outside his house, like say anything with a boombox above your head, with playing this podcast. George, wake up, Dr. George.
Surely the greatest resource of all would be toilet paper.
Just think what happened in Coles back in 2020. Definitely. I mean, so if you're going to become a warlord, like the leader of one of those territories, so the first thing you do is you've got to bring in muscle. We're not dominating.
No. We're the backroom boys.
Yeah,
we've got the plan.
How do we? So there's a
recruit
ragtag
muscle.
bunch of mercenaries. So we say to them, "Listen, we've got this resource, but how do we convince them not to kill it? Like, what? We can't just say, "Hey, come to Toilet Town," because they'll just kill us and take our resource. We need to have some. We need to either sort of like pay them, like come to them. We need to get money first.
No, they're gonna. Well, no, the product is the payment. Like we've got to
all the toilet paper you can.
We've got to find tough guys. Like we're in the local bar, like a local bikie, like the kind of.
But in the wasteland.
Yeah, in the wasteland
in a
bar.
citadel somewhere.
Yeah, we're in some, but whatever. Wherever they gather, and we're like, hey, I noticed you just had a shit there, and you've had to wipe.
Any sentence ever started like that and been completed.
Hey, so. Nice to meet you. I noticed you just went and had a shit and now you've got shit all over your hand. Well, what if I told you there's a world you could live in where you didn't have to have shit on your hand? A world where you could be wiping your ass with paper immediately. Like, I mean, Yeah, maybe
I just don't know
what do you
that a
mean?
ragtag bunch of mercenaries, that's going to be higher priority. I think we
Mate,
maybe
there's
need to
still
go...
some, like, people still like to wipe their ass after they shit. Like, even the toughest guys going around aren't like you never hear that about, like, tough guys in modern day society. You're like, oh, yeah, Jimmy never wipes. Like, you don't want to mess with Jimmy
still
never
wipe.
wipes. Like, this is like, even the toughest guys in the world still like to.
But isn't there some kind of like hierarchy of need or something where it's like we all need shelter, we all need blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. So if we're looking at the wasteland's available resources,
Yes.
you've got gas, which you need for, like, I guess, like power and vehicle transport, bullets, self-defense, and water for life.
Yeah.
And we're saying toilet town.
Well, what we're saying wiping your ass after defecating is
That
like...
seems like a treat. What I'm saying is I just don't know how we...
I mean, it's a
How
luxury
we
product.
entered this
It's a
syndicate.
high-end luxury product. There's no doubt. But that, in the same way as like criminal syndicates in all spheres often work in high-end, like, I mean, stolen jewelry, like, expensive guns, like drugs. Like, in a society, there is always a place for like illicit, like, it's like, criminals in this day and age will have like a lion as a pet or something. You know what I mean? Like, they've got a tiger in a cage, or they own some. It's about owning something that not everybody else can have. So I think we want to like set ourselves up as like, we're not dealing with the general public.
Right.
We're selling
The
to
warlords.
the warlords who are
Warlords.
running these local towns, who want to like, they want to drink their water and then go and
The
have a
Bullet
nice,
Farmer,
that's right.
Immortan Joe,
Yeah.
Dementis, all the kind of...
And in
big
return,
guys.
that's how we're protecting ourselves, because we're like sitting at the table with these sort of warlords because we're essentially looking after them, and in return, they're protecting us. I think that's how we guarantee,
So how do we stop them though?
just following us back and killing us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's like we need to be. We need to. There needs to be a process because, like, a paper forest enough. So we've
Yeah.
perfected some toilet paper manufacture.
I just don't think that you or I are smart enough to be able to do that. I actually think the only way this scenario is likely is we've just two goofy guys looking for somewhere to survive in the wasteland.
Oh, we just get bought out straight away.
We
just want to get bought out.
We've
We don't want
literally,
this to be
I believe
ongoing
we've just
relationship.
stumbled onto like a factory full of toilet paper, and we have a limited resource that we cannot replenish. Like, literally, we have like, whatever it is, 5 years supply of toilet paper, and within that time, we've essentially discovered a bank, and the toilet paper is the money that we can use. So I guess there is a world in which maybe we could be selling whole
like a bank.
We could be selling whole rolls to, that's right. We could be selling rolls to like the warlords, but maybe we could be like peeling off a square for a special occasion for like your regular, like that could be the sort of thing that we're on the street selling single sheets.
That's right. Well, the low level, we sell rolls to street level paper dealers, and they can maybe
and then they can cut up their sheets themselves. Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
Yeah.
That's
They
right.
melt it down and they reset it with it. It's like, hang on, this has got like
hang
ink in
on.
it. This is
Yeah.
not toilet paper.
This is-
I like it. I like it. I just don't know how we. It's that first step of us either discovering the factory or whatever it is. We have this amazing resource, but you're in a lawless society. So how do you?
I think we've got to keep it a secret where the resource is. So,
first.
well, no,
and
at
we've got
all,
to come up
all
with
the
some
time.
fail safe that if you kill us, you won't get access to it. So it's
only
either,
you and I know where it is. It's got to be one of those sort of things, right?
or there's a code that only you and
Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
that's true. Yeah,
That we both have to be there.
Yeah.
I only know the first part, you only know the second part.
yeah.
And that way, because they can kill one of us, but
Yeah.
then there's the other one.
That's
so-
good. That's good. Well done. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, so two locks, two
All right.
separate
That's
combination
good.
locks on the doors. You know the
has to
combo
be
one,
opened
another
by
combo
both
the
of
other.
us. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's not bad.
Okay. So we approach the first warlord.
Yeah.
Well, no, we start low level, but not to just scumbags, like, highfalutin wasteland types, people like the wives.
Yeah.
The 5 wives from Fury Road.
I think drug dealer style. You go in, You just offer a couple of influences.
Just a couple of sheets. Yeah.
A couple of sheets.
Wasteland
You know what I mean?
influences.
Like wasteland influences. A couple of sheets just to see if they like it.
Hey, it's your boy Rat Bog in the wasteland. I'm just kicking it here with my war boys. We're about to get all chromed up and drive our V8s into the wasteland. What's this? Toilet paper. Bog Rock, ouch. Bog Rock? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what's a Mad Max name.
Yeah, Bog Rock's right. I'm happy with that. I'd be happy to have Bog Rock on board.
Okay, so you find an influencer and you say, hey man, if you want the good stuff.
I think it's like Ozempic or like Tupperware. Like it's the sort of thing that starts at like it's a bit of like pride. It's
Sorry,
like,
I just caught the comparison to Ozempic or Tupperware.
well, I just feel like
Okay.
it starts at private parties. You get some people who are kind of like, and you just like say, you know.
Drink some of that mother's milk up with Morton Joe up in the Citadel.
And the thing that everybody loves about the mother's milk is like it's delicious, but they don't like is goes straight
Lactose.
through you. Like,
That's the
seriously,
lactose,
it
mate.
will. You're shitting for days. Well, suddenly not as much of a problem, right?
Oh man, we're the guys you call.
Yeah.
We're the dudes you
Yeah.
call. Yeah, all right, that's good. Okay, and that's all right. And so that's all we need is one in, and then we leverage that relationship to then get in with the other warlords.
That's right.
But I think we also have to accumulate some muscle at some point.
Well,
we can't.
I think the original one we go to, I think the safest way for us to do this is cut a deal with the original warlord, be it a Morton Joe or whoever it might be, but the one that we're in with, and then let them be our distributors. Essentially, we're handing it off to their criminal organisation from then on, right? Because I think you and we're going to get killed at some stage if we don't like align ourselves with one of the major muscles. So I just think we go to one, we just say, hey, we don't want to be, you're the one who's going to profit out of all this. We just want to
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right?
If we don't get greedy,
Nah.
if we're just like, look, lump sum,
Yeah.
you just give us whatever, like, I guess we just want resources. So you just give us like a couple of tankers of fresh water each month. We'll leave some bricks.
Yeah.
Some bricks out the front.
Yeah.
And an undisclosed location, you'll find out the day before. We'll send a carrier pigeon. And that way we keep some nice separation.
We deal to you and you only.
If we see anyone else coming around, we're gone. You'll never find out the location of this place. I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to get killed so quick.
I mean, but this is our best bet. Do you know what I mean? Like, of all the available options, I believe stumbling upon a toilet paper factory in the wasteland is now my number one, what I'm going to do in post-apocalyptic times. In fact, I might start doing a little map, like in my house, of where the toilet paper factories in Australia. You might find that I move right near where a toilet paper factory is, and that's my plan to survive the apocalypse.
When the shit goes down, literally, I'll help your shit go down. Figuratively and literally. I've got it back to
Yeah, you find that I've got one of those doomsday prepper bunkers, but it's literally just an old discarded toilet paper factory that I've bought and just filled it all with.
I'll just be that guy on the back of in Road Warrior, the guy just on the back of the Leather Queen's motorbike with the guy with the mohawk. He's got that little femme friend sitting at the back. That's me. Like, I tried being a toilet paper deal, didn't work out. I'm just going to align myself with a guy who can look after me now.
I mean, I think, I really do think it's like you get a Morton Joe or whoever on board. Like, they've got this distribution network of war boys or whatever their equivalent might be. And I really do think that we're literally just at the factory. All we're doing is like making sure that we're the who gives a crap of
My God.
the post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Is it too late to
right?
get shares in Who Gives a Crap? Maybe that is like people talk about privatization of water. It's toilet paper, you people.
Right.
Think about it. We've all got to get in on that.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could GameStop it. We just turn like
Yes.
Who Gives a Crap to be the most profitable company in Australia.
Yeah.
Mike Cannon Brooks comes in to buy us out. I think it makes sense. It makes sense. I've got some mail to get through, Will. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. everyonerelax.co. You just choose the show you want to email us about and you send it through, like this person, Melissa, who says, I don't know when this episode was from, but I'm sitting here listening to two adult men talking at length about the band Five.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out if it's serious or not.
Well, strap yourself in. There's about 8 more episodes of that to go.
Serious as a bloody heart attack. This is from Haley. He says, I've been going through the photos in my phone to make photo books for my kids to be able to access, and I came across this screen grab from early 2016. I believe this was around the time that podcasts were really starting to have specific hooks, and you were trying to find a way to describe TOFOP. So on a whim, I asked Siri and found her response to be very profound, but I don't think I ever actually sent it in to you guys. This form doesn't seem to have an image upload option, so I'll just describe what the image shows. I ask it, have you heard of TOFOP? And Siri says, you know what they say, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still getting its pants on. I'm not sure if I get it, but it's funny.
Oh, boy. I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it?
It's pretty profound, though. A lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth, while the truth is still getting its pants on. I'm not sure if I get it, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I think just the last part.
I'm not sure I get it, but it's funny. Yeah. TOFOP. I'm not sure I get it, but it's funny. Yes, that's perfect.
Thanks for the entertainment over the many years. I've been a listener from the beginning. I'm not a medical professional, but work in children's therapy, so I guess that could be considered somewhat adjacent. Yeah, that'll.
Yes, absolutely.
What is children's therapy?
I mean...
Is that what Ian is going to be going to? We're talking about bags in a few years.
I mean, I assume, like, it is some sort of... it would... it would qualify, I imagine, as something that is a good thing to do for society.
A therapeutic thing for children?
Yes, yeah, I would hope so. Either that or it's children's therapy, TM. Yeah, that's right. It's a real cover story for some people doing some real dodgy things to the kids.
This came in from Ethan, who says, a plane landing quantum leap. This is the subject. On a recent episode of Do Go On about talk down aircraft landings, Dave Warnicki mentioned a study showing that 20,000 people surveyed asked whether they could land a plane with no flight experience and only a radio for support. 30% of people believe they could do it.
Nice.
And of only the men surveyed, that rose to 50%.
Yeah, that's right. And I could also beat Kathy Freeman in a race, and I could climb Mount Everest without training.
Do you believe quantum leap style you could land a plane in the event of the pilot passing out, etc.? Well, I don't think you could, because your quantum leap technique is to complain that you have a headache or something and then defer to someone else. No, what is it? I can't, sorry.
I mean, I guess
I've forgotten how to do this.
This is the classic situation where that would still be fine, because you're still asking somebody else to. It's the equivalent of the pilot dies and you have to land the plane, right? So essentially, but you're just the pilot. So you still have to do the whole, I don't know what's happened. There's been an accident up here. The plane is crashing and I must have knocked my head or something because I have complete amnesia right now. You're going to have to talk me through everything that I'm going to have to do right now. Okay. Right?
And so
because in this situation, you actually have someone to talk you through it. So this is my perfect scenario. In some of my other situations where I'm employing this method, there isn't someone else to talk you through what to do. But this in this scenario, it actually works quite well.
Do you think, though, how would you go? Because I immediately think about every time I've called technical support about something, and they're like, okay, just go to this tab here and open this. I'm always like, hang on. And it takes me like a minute and I'm scanning. So if someone's like, okay, you see a pressure gauge, I'd be like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Have you 40 gauges.
Have you ever been in the cockpit of a plane?
No.
Oh, man. There is like, it's like there's a security measure in the cockpit of the plane, which is to put random shit in there so that like you can't like just go in and start to like fly the plane because all those buttons cannot need to be switched on and off. There is no system that works on so many switches and buttons that they're having. Like, there's no way if somebody said, okay, so look to your left and there's obviously the safety alternator, and you'd be like, nope, don't know. Let's let it. We're going to crash. Sorry. The end.
But I mean, it'd be much funnier if like, when you went in, the pilot's like, no, we don't need all this shit. No. It's just a big green button. You just press this button.
But I think a lot of it is just the big green button and the big red button. I think that is actually true. But I mean, the time limit would be the problem, because I am like you. I think that it would take me too much time in an emergency crashing the plane situation. I'm pretty good
Have
at
you got your glasses with you?
I'm pretty good at following instructions, but
Yeah.
I don't think that we would have the time for them to give me the instructions and me being able to work out how to follow them for us to avoid crashing.
I remember once when I was like 12 or 13, I needed Mum to print something off for me from the computer. Like I'd written an essay or something like that. And it was an old Amiga 500. And like, so you had to boot up the computer. You had to click on like whatever the word processing program was. You had to open the icon. You had to locate the document, and then you could hit print, and that would print it out. And so I remember the night before saying, Mum, can you print this out tomorrow for me while I'm at school? And she was like, well, if you show me how to do it. And I remember sitting there next to my mum. So I would have been like 10 or 13. So she would have been like early 50s. So not far off your age. I sat there with my mum, watching her trying to operate an Amiga 500 with me giving specific instructions while sitting right next to her. And she couldn't fucking do it. I remember sitting there getting so frustrated, being like, how do you not know how to move the mouse? It's right there. Like it's on, like just see that thing, move the mouse. See the arrow moves? Move that over there. No, you're going the wrong way. No, it's opposite to that way. But, and that was with me sitting right there. Like probably not as calm as an air traffic controller, I'd admit.
I had one of those recently. So the screensaver on my phone, the picture that comes up, when my phone goes to the phone lock is a picture that James Fosdyke did of Marcus Bontempelli, who plays for the Bulldogs, as a superhero. And it's like the screensaver on my phone. And I wanted to show it to somebody. And I don't have the photo saved in my phone. I only have it as the screensaver on my phone. And I sat there fiddling like for so long until the other person grabbed my phone out of my hand and just did it for me.
So how do you think you go landing the 747?
Yeah, not great. I'm going to say I'm in the percentage who thinks they probably couldn't do it.
I think for me too, there would be a little bit of performance anxiety because it's not just you in there. You got the co-pilot watching. So just that added pressure. If it was just, I would do better if I sent everyone else out of the cockpit. They're like, you need this system. Like, fuck it. I'll do much better if I don't feel like I'm being judged because this guy, he's side-eyeing me and it's making me intimidated. It's freaking me out.
I think that, like, my general quantum leap approach, which is I've got amnesia, could you please, I've forgotten everything, could you please run me through it? Like, I think that that's also about, I'm not guaranteeing that I would be able to do anything of these things successfully because the premise for us was always, I don't think that I could be a doctor. I just think I could fake being a doctor for a day, quantum leap style. Do I think I could fake being a pilot for a day? No, because under my normal scenario, which is that like you're a pilot, suddenly you're on a plane and I go, oh, I've got amnesia. They don't go, oh, well, we'll just run you through it and everything will be fine. They go, you know what? I reckon we'll get Gary to fly today.
All right. This bit is from Kerry.
Yeah.
He said, I'm wondering if you would like to do an episode on movie tropes you still enjoy, even though they are hackneyed. I rewatched Get Shorty for the first time in decades, and it reminded me of how much I enjoy a scene that segs from the climax. Hang on. Reminded me how much I enjoy it when a scene segs from the climax events of the movies to a film set where they're making a movie about the same subject, usually with a cameo from a big name actor. In this case, Dennis Farina turns into Harvey Keitel. I also love a disaster movie that hits all the cliches, such as an expert who's not being believed because greedy capitalists want to keep making money. I've been watching a lot of 90s action films lately in preparation for a series I'm going to do with Guy Davis on the Video Store. We're going to look back at a very specific era of films produced by Joel Silver from 1989 to 1991. So it's like your Lethal Weapon 2s and your Ricochets and Last Boy Scouts. Very Bruce Willis heavy and Rennie Harlan heavy era for Joel Silver. But I remember watching it and being like, oh God, I forgot about this kind of action hero cliche. Like that Lethal Weapon dynamic has been, the buddy cop has been done to death so much now. But just the general way these action films set up. Like I'd forgotten Die Hard, the second film. Like it starts with action. Like it's literally like Lethal Weapon 2 starts with action. Die Hard 2 starts with action. And then it's very much into this kind of... They're really ultra violent as well. like even like the John Wick films feel quite tame compared to. There's a sadism to the violence in these 80s. Like Lethal Weapon, there's a whole sequence where Martin Riggs is gunning down these guys in a shipping yard. And I was like, oh, this feels like a precursor to John Wick because he's doing all like trick shots and, you know, gun fu or whatever they call it. But that era of filmmaking, that the trope of the kind of cop on the edge, I was like, I missed that. Like Bruce Willis, that's kind of what he built his kind of career off, really, isn't it? That kind of variations on John McClane, this idea that borderline alcoholics, so much smoking too. Like Mel Gibson and Bruce Willis smoke so much through these films. I like smoking in airplanes, smoking in doctors' offices, smoking everywhere. And it's like, God, smoking's cool.
I mean, you used to be able to smoke in so many places. It's actually, like, it is one of those things, smoking, that's one of our things of our generation where you're like, isn't it amazing that we managed to almost entirely, like, because the figures now I like saw the other day, I mean, vaping's still out of control, but the figures for people who smoke cigarettes now are like so low in this country. And I remember like just being in my, like when I first started doing comedy, like people would smoke on stage. You definitely perform in places where people were smoking. I remember flying to Japan on a plane where people were smoking. Like, yeah, like you used to be able to smoke on planes.
Yeah, I was on one of those planes. I remember the first time I went to Thailand in like 1997, Olympic Airways, and everyone was smoking. Like it was just kind of like 9 hours sitting in passive smoke. It's crazy.
Restaurants.
Really,
you would go to restaurants and people at the next table would be smoking cigarettes.
It's still like that in parts of Europe, though, right? Like when I remember when I was in Paris and Germany, people smoking like on the streets, like in cafes. It was quite common. People would finish their meal and then like spark up a cigarette. But it does feel crazy now.
Yeah. Like it's so good. Like it was very healthy that we got rid of it and then just addicted ourselves to social media and technology instead.
So are teenagers smoking? Like that was what, you know, the cool kids did at my school. Do they go and vape now?
Yeah, vape.
Or TikTok?
They vape on TikTok. They vape TikTok.
I mean, what do they do now? Like if you're gonna like show that you're the good-looking rebel who plays by his own rules, like what are you doing as a 16, 17?
I have no idea. It'd be weird if I did know, is what I like.
Oh, let me tell you what, Charlie, there's a bunch of very good-looking teenage boys, and I like to cut an edge in. Each is more rebellious than the next. It's like, what? Oh, yeah, don't worry. I'll send you a link. Please don't.
I'll send you a file. You'll have to collect it in a park. When I say send you, I'll bury it in a park.
Patrick Swayze also, I came across him in and what I was trying to work out what it was about Patrick Swayze that made him like a movie star, or not even a movie star, but what's his kind of defining character? You know, he plays Johnny in Dirty Dancing, Bodie in Point Break, Dalton in Roadhouse, you know.
Yeah.
But there's
what's
this
the
connective
tissue?
You know what I worked out it is? Earnestness. He's so fucking earnest in every role he plays. Like he is just like Roadhouse is the perfect example. Like, you know, he's a professional bouncer, you know, who's got a degree in philosophy and drives like a Mercedes Benz and does kung fu on the riverbank. But he doesn't, like, if he knows that it's tongue in cheek, he doesn't give it away. Like, he plays it so earnestly.
Mate,
and it's the same.
It's why Ghost works.
Yeah.
Like
because I'm a ghost.
Like he literally is the most earnest ghost. Like that movie is actually so ridiculous. Like, you know, I'm gonna go and like, you know, like, I mean, it's been parodied now that I mean, the pottery scene so many times, but even just him in the body of Whoopi Goldberg, all that sort of stuff. But it works because he fully commits to the earnestness of like being even a ghost in Ghost.
Yeah. And even in Point Break, like now he's playing this kind of like surfing,
it's kind of a comedic character,
kind of
but he doesn't play it comedically at all.
There's one line in Point Break where it's when Anthony Kiedis is going to beat up Keanu at the shower. You know, that would be a waste of time. That scene where Bodhi intervenes and he says to one of the other characters, completely straight-faced, he's gone, "Easy, war child." Like, Like, I mean, it's amazing, and this is probably why he's a movie star and I'm a struggling actor. Is that like I couldn't say that with a straight face, like, but he commits, and you really.
But you're right.
you
He
really
had a
believe
capacity
it.
to take something that on paper could have read as being a bit ridiculous, like in all these films. I mean, and then add a level of but not in a way that made it a parody or was ridiculous or like there is an idea that if you. Like earnestness can often become sort of self-parody or like like we can
irritating.
Yes, that's
right. That's what people got sick about Tom Cruise. He got too earnest, and then he was like, "I'll just try and kill myself instead." Will you like me then? We're like, yes.
Yeah, we love this. We love this. You're the best. You're back, baby. Just stop being earnest.
Yeah. But but that's if you look at all of his films, because more often than not, he's playing like a badass.
Yeah.
Like Johnny's a bad boy, Dalton's a badass, but he's this really lightly framed ex-dancer with this pigeon-toed walk. Like it's all a bit fruity, but you buy it because he commits, and it's like, well, yeah, I guess I'm going to get my ass kicked by that guy who's got like perfect like toe pointing when he does these kicks.
His
It's like
precision
just perfect
kicks.
form.
Yeah.
And they look precision. Because I watched Roadhouse and I was like, this is so crazy. I haven't seen it in so long. And I had to go on IMDb. And there was a bit of trivia that I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. Where it's like the fight trainer for Roadhouse said that Patrick Swayze was so adept at the fight scenes that he encouraged him to turn professional. I'm like, no way. Patrick Swayze was not going to turn like a professional mixed martial arts fighter.
I mean, it would be great though if that was a progression. Like, because obviously, like, often if you're a good boxer or if you're a good, like, at one thing, they'll be like, oh, maybe you could be like a UFC person, you make that pivot, like a wrestler who might go into the UFC. But if also there was, like, a real category of, Street Fighter style, that there's, like, they're recruiting the best dancers. Like, they're like, someone like out the back of America's Got Talent. They're like, you might not have got in through to the next round, but... We've got a secret program, Sam Jackson style. They're like, we're going to turn you into one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Well, I guess it's actually not beyond the realms of kind of possibility, because you're right. Like, they take athletes from other sports, sometimes not even combat
It's true.
sports.
Like, they get a basketballer and they turn them into like an AFL footballer. Maybe they could
But even in mixed martial arts, like they'll take athletes from other non-combat sports and just teach them basics of grappling and whatever. Because that's what they've worked out, is you don't really need to learn martial arts. You just need to know how to strike and how to wrestle. So it's not actually that crazy to think that dancers, who are probably the best endurance athletes going around, like if you can find one who's willing to ground and pound.
Yeah. Hey, guys, did you hear who the newest lightweight champion of the world in the UFC is? Bruno Mars.
All right, that is TOFOP for this week. We have a live show happening very soon, and if you can't make it to this one, you can make it to the next one, because we're doing shows June 15th, July 6th, and August 3rd at the Basement Comedy Club in Melbourne. You can buy tickets for all three shows or tickets to each individual show. Going to be a lot of fun. Will, what are you up to?
I'm on tour still, Wagga Wagga, Geelong, bunch of other places as well, comedy.com.au.
All right, that's it. I'm Charlie Clausen.